Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Shield, and it is lovely to see you here. I know that, hope you all are doing well. I am going to talk about a very, very, very important subject today, which is what is the fastest way to recover from a breakup? So here's the deal. When you go through a breakup, usually it's because, like, one of the best things about this is that all of your stuff is up. Everything's up. And it's raw and it's real, and you're right in the thick of it. And as much as you may think, oh, this is horrible, I don't know how I can go forward. And you want to sit and lick your wounds, and you know that you need to, you feel like you need to go back into therapy and do processing and self-love work and healing work. All of us, most people have been conditioned to believe that this is the way it has to be, that you have to spend time processing and healing and all. Now, I'm not talking about a divorce, although that also can be a prime time, depending on the conditions under which that happened. If it's been a while, or, if you're really, if there's not too much wound, well, there's going to be a lot of wounding and damage from a divorce. But even still, you don't want to sit, or don't necessarily need to go back and process and process and process and process. In fact, if you really stop to think about it, in most of these wounded relationships, you've probably been doing a lot of that, unless you just met an avoidant person and very quickly he turned and then ghosted you or wanted out of the relationship and it was very abrupt. You've probably been processing your relationship history for years. And what happens is we think that we need to sit and go back and process some more. And the problem with all of that is that it just keeps taking us back into the past. We keep creating more stories about why we are the way we are. We keep finding more reasons for why these things happened and why we keep doing what we're doing. And all that does is it just elongates this whole process. What happens is you wind up spending more months or years of your life stuck in that relationship. In fact, I'll have people say to me, oh, I had this breakup, and then, it was a 3-year relationship, and then it took me another, 2 years to get over it, to feel like I was ready to get back out and start dating again. I just needed to recover. I didn't feel up to it. And maybe in that time, they did some personal growth work, some self-love workshops, read some books on healing and all. Maybe they even went back to therapy to help them feel better and understand what went wrong. I'm not saying that all of those things can't be helpful, but if you really want to know one of the fastest ways to recover from a breakup is working with a coach. And I'm not even talking about like a therapist turned coach. So anybody who really comes out of a therapy background, I'm not saying that some of that won't be helpful. It is important to be able to look at your history and your past, your family of origin, and understand the root causes of why you do what you do. But it's also very important to see a way forward. So when I work with clients, they come to me and we get them right away into a solution. We get them into a solution mindset, and we want to move them forward as quickly as possible because we do not want them to keep going back and going back and going back. That's part of the problem that I actually see with a lot of personal growth work. In fact, myself included, when I was first starting my journey, I came out of a 13-year relationship. 5 years I was married to my ex-husband, but I was with him for a total of 13 years. And I looked at that relationship and all we did for 13 years was talk and process and try to work through our issues and our problems. And we got nowhere. We were not equipped to be able to solve it. I don't even know if a therapist could have helped us solve it. It was like the blind leading the blind. And all we did was we were like chasing our tails. We were running in circles and getting nowhere. In fact, when I finally left that relationship, the reason I left was because I started to separate myself within the relationship. We weren't separated, but I started to separate from my husband and started taking responsibility for myself, for what was going on with me. And I began to see that we were getting nowhere, that we were actually stuck. And we were having a conversation about money. And in the middle of this conversation, it hit me that we had been having the same discussion about money and finances and all that we'd been having for 13 years. We had gone nowhere. I mean, we'd moved around. We were living in Santa Barbara and then LA and then Milan, Italy. And we were moving around, but psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we'd gone nowhere. And as we were having this discussion, / argument about money, and I was trying to convince my ex-husband to get his act together, it hit me that this was the same conversation about money that we'd been having since we'd met. And I stopped in the middle of the conversation and I said, look, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep doing this. We've gone nowhere and I need to leave. If you figure this out, I'm going to go back to the US. We were in Italy at the time, and I'm going to start to put my life together, and we'll see where we are, if we want to get back together or that we want to continue. And we both decided that it was time to call it quits shortly after that. But once I got out of that relationship, I did a lot of personal growth work. And I worked with Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The 4 Agreements. I went to a 12-step program for issues with food. And I got my master's degree in spiritual psychology. And I just did one thing after another, a little bit of Landmark Forum thrown in there. And anything I thought would help, I was willing to do. I thought, if this is going to give me answers and people say it's good, I'll go, I'll do it. And so I spent 6 solid years of my life doing one personal growth thing after another, including traditional therapy. My 40th birthday was approaching, and I realized that all of those things that I was doing were working on me, and they were making me happier and more balanced. And I had a better handle on my own personal life, and I had more friends. I mean, I was just more highly functioning. But in the back of my mind, I had been doing all of those things so that I could find a partner. I was hoping that as I got my own act together and I felt better about who I was and I loved myself and, I loved my career, I had great friends, all of those things had aligned. But there I was on the precipice of my 40th birthday, and I realized that I was no closer to finding a partner than I had been when I left my first husband. I wasn't getting more dates. I wasn't getting more male attention. I wasn't interacting at a higher level with men. Men were not responding to me still in the way I wanted them to. And I began to realize that this was a completely different focus. This was a different focus than working on my personal growth. So personal growth or interpersonal work is different than intrapersonal work. And so I started to see that I needed to face this head on. I needed to get out in the dating world and start to look at what I was doing wrong, how I was choosing the wrong men, where I was afraid, where I was emotionally blocked. I needed to start to study and grow in this part of my life. And I realized I could have gone and done more personal growth workshops. I could have spent more hours on a therapist's couch, but none of those things were going to help me solve this. And I wish you all knew what I knew about how to get this solved. I wish you really understood all of the missing pieces of this puzzle that you don't have, that are causing you to have, to waste precious time, keep choosing the wrong partners, and keep meeting with the misery and suffering and disappointment in this part of your life. And I know many of you think, oh, well, at least I had another learning experience and I know I won't do those same things again. But the problem is, it's not what you know, what you've learned. It's all the stuff you don't know about this part of your life, because you've never really done any real work directly on this issue, facing this part of your life. So when you go through a breakup, this is the most potent time to do this work. This is the best time not to go and do a how do I get my boyfriend back workshop. Maybe he's not even the right guy for you. Maybe you're going for the wrong types of men. Maybe this is a good thing that this didn't work out. You need to know how to get clear on those things. You need to start to learn how to identify who the right partner is for you and whether or not you would even want to get back involved with this man. You need to be able to understand clearly what went wrong and what are the repeating patterns throughout your whole relationship history that you may have just repeated again, not the ones you know that you keep repeating, but all the ones you haven't realized that you're unaware of. You see, I give you processes and systems and ways to analyze all of these things so that you can get clear on the mistakes you've been making and you can have a clear path forward so that you can change the things you need to change and stop these old behaviors. All therapy is going to do is get you to analyze and process and go over, oh, well, this reminded me of my mother or my father. Oh, I have a broken heart, and you're going to go in and keep sobbing and crying. Well, I can't get over this. And why did he do this? And why do I keep making these bad choices? I don't understand. And it's so painful. And I can't believe I'm back here again. That's not where you want to go with this. What you can do, what I can help you do, is move forward faster so you can find what I call the guardian of your soul. I can show you how to identify those repeating patterns. I can show you how to break them. I can show you how to get clear on what you must look for in your next partner. I can show you why that last relationship didn't work, why it probably wasn't ever going to work, why you keep picking the wrong men, and how to start picking the right ones. What you don't want to keep doing is wallowing and suffering and going over and over and over what went wrong. Does that make sense? Does this make sense to all of you? And the most potent time, the most powerful time to do this work is when it's right in front of you. When I work with women who haven't dated in a long time or who have been out in the dating world but just aren't getting traction, I mean, all of that is fantastic. They're burning out, they're getting sick and tired of bad dates, and they just want to get it solved, and they come to me for that. But when I have a woman who's, just coming out of a breakup, man, that's where I can really turn that woman's life around, because everything is there. It's right. They're present to the pain. They can see everything right in front of them. And it hasn't, I know what all of you want to do is you want to just have, get over the pain. You want to let some time go by so that you can feel better. Yeah. And when time goes by, that could be months or even years of your life. Do you really want to waste that time? You're heartbroken because you want love and it didn't work. And what you don't want to do is waste more years wallowing and suffering over that relationship. Part of why you're wallowing and why you're suffering is not because you can't have an amazing partner, but because you don't know how to get this solved. And most of you are afraid that if you do go back out there and you do start dating again and you do want to, start trying to solve this, what you're worried about, the thing that you're most afraid of, is that you are going to go out and do the same thing all over again. You're not afraid of putting yourself out there. You're afraid that you're going to get hurt again because you don't know what you're doing, because you don't know how to prevent this from happening again and how to choose a wonderful partner. That's the real issue here. And if you had the right answers, if you could really understand the mistakes of the past, why you keep picking the wrong men, and what a healthy, secure, loving, emotionally available man really looks like, and how to spot him when he sits down in front of you on a date, and then how to get emotionally naked and be able to seize the moment because you're such a fabulous, confident, put together, what we call emotionally naked dater. That's what you need to learn how to do. But going back into therapy or taking some breakup course and doing a bunch of processing work on yourself so that you can heal, I'm going to teach you all of that simultaneously. We're going to put everything together quickly. We're going to give you a clear understanding of why this happened, what the part you played in what happened, the blind spots in your knowledge that caused you to make the wrong decisions, maybe not know when to walk away, what the red flags were. A lot of you don't even know what a red flag is. You're trying to be so nice and understanding and you're trying to oh, well, I'm flawed and I have to be understanding of him so that he'll be understanding towards me. And you keep moving your boundaries, thinking that that's how it's going to work. Well, if I am forgiving about, if I'm understanding, maybe, he'll show up and be the kind of guy I want him to be. Maybe he'll love me if I'm just more understanding, if I'm kinder. And so you put up with things you shouldn't be putting up with. You're accepting behaviors that you shouldn't be accepting. And a lot of you are blaming yourselves for what's going wrong. There are so many men out there. Now, maybe you had a really great guy and it was you. You weren't ready. You were intimidated. You got anxious. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe you pushed him away. Maybe he was a really great, secure guy, and you just didn't have the tools and the skills to show up the way you would have liked to. Or maybe you're blaming yourself. I talked to a woman last week who just enrolled in my course. Lovely, lovely, lovely woman. And it was wild. But she was blaming herself for something that was not her fault. This man treated her horribly, horribly. And she thought she had done something to push him away, to deserve to be treated that way. And so she felt horrible and was blaming herself for what he was doing. I nipped that one in the bud. And I said, no, you've got to learn how to choose good, secure, emotionally available men. This man was never going to be able to have the relationship with you that you were looking for. And you did nothing wrong. Even if she had done something wrong, there was nothing to warrant or there was nothing she could have done to have deserved to have been treated that way. Nothing. But she didn't know that. And so here was this beautiful woman who's such a catch. I mean, oh my God, is she a catch? But she has things she needs to learn, things she doesn't know about getting this solved. And luckily, she's coming right off of this breakup that really blew her mind and hurt her heart so badly. And a good friend of hers, who actually is now engaged because she did my course, referred her to me. And she was so lovely, this woman. She said, Lisa, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. I mean, there was not even a moment's hesitation. She signed up right on that call, on our call. And yeah. And she's starting next week. And the beauty of this was that I was able to let her know that this wasn't her fault. She didn't do anything wrong. She could have gone back into therapy. And she said she was considering it because she didn't know where else to go. And so she was going to go back into therapy and waste more time, more precious time on this loser of a guy, when I was able to tell her, no, honey, it's not you. You've got to learn how to pick the right guys. And she was like, oh my God. She said, I can't even believe it. She said, Lisa, I feel so hopeful now. So hopeful after one of the worst weekends of her life, right? After this breakup. And she said, oh my God, I feel so hopeful. And I feel like this is really going to help me. It might be that I've been looking for this for so long. And this is really the way forward. For some reason, we've been taught, again, lies, that we have to go back, that we have to process the past over and over and over again. Well, I'll share something. when I was deciding, should I become a therapist or a coach, I actually looked at both of those and I thought, oh, and I fell into that whole thing, you have to study to be a therapist and you have to get licensed. And somehow in my mind, that made being a therapist more legitimate than becoming a coach. And this is just a bullshit story, right? But I was buying into this mythology that if I became a coach, what I was going to do wouldn't be as viable because therapy was, had been around and it was a tradition and it was deep and people were in therapy for, years because, therapists were so educated. I have to tell you something. I really now know that therapy can be important. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we all have to understand. It is so important to have an understanding of how our parenting and our upbringing influences the way we are today. But that's not something you have to sit and go over and over and over and over again. I mean, if I wanted to go to therapy, I'm sure I could dredge up some stories about why I do the things I do because my parents were like this. But I don't want to keep doing that. I want to live in the solution, not in the problem. I want to know how to get things solved. If I had a breakup, I don't want to sit there and process over and over again why I said this and he said that and I felt this and that's because my mom or my dad used to do fill in the blank. It doesn't matter. I understand that a lot of my reactivity to certain things does come from my past. And some of those things are very deeply ingrained in my behaviors. And even today, with all the work I've done, I get triggered. Things happen and I can feel the level of my hurt may be out of proportion to what actually happened. And I can understand that when I'm having an irrational reaction to something that's happening in the present, it's usually because of something in my past. But I don't have to even often go back to my past now to find out the why. I can take a deep breath. I can acknowledge that I'm getting triggered and that this is triggering something from my past. And then I can ask myself, Lisa, what's really going on here? What's happening in the present moment? Bring yourself into the present moment. Who is this person? They're not out to get you. They're not your mom. They're not your dad. They're not the kids who bullied you in grade school. This is Jane, or this is Susan, or this is Tom, right? This is not them. It's just triggering something. And then I can take a deep breath and respond, ground myself, but I don't have to keep going and you don't have to keep going back. Wouldn't it be amazing to be able to say, okay, this happened. I feel very raw. I'm in the middle of this breakup. I've been through breakups before. I've had my heart broken. Most of us have, not everyone. But here I am in the present moment. How do I stop going back and how can I move forward so I can find the guardian of my soul? That's what this program can do. It is a step-by-step. It's a 12-week course. It's called Emotionally Naked Dating. And I happen to think it's like the best antidote to a breakup you may ever find. For a lot of you who think you have to go do some, how to heal from a breakup course or feel like you need to go back into therapy so that you can process some more, I have news for you. if you really want to get this solved now, my suggestion is go to lisashield.com and you will find the link to my free 45-minute presentation right there. Click on it. Watch the presentation. If you like what you hear, we can jump on a call and me or a member of my team will talk to you about how we can help you heal your broken heart now and move forward. If you did do something wrong, if there is a way to repair what happened, we will show you how to do that. But if this isn't the right relationship, we'll get you clear on that too. If this is part of a bigger pattern of you choosing the wrong men who are emotionally unavailable and are incapable of having the kind of relationship you really want, then we're going to identify that as well. No matter what, we can show you how to find the guardian of your soul. Sometimes women in our program, they wind up going back to an ex-husband or an ex-boyfriend. That often happens. But sometimes they get clear, no, there's no way. That's not my guy. And then we give them the roadmap for how to move forward, get out in the dating world and get this solved. The one thing we don't have is time to waste. So don't waste more time. Even if a voice in the back of your head is saying, no, you need to go back to therapy. You need time to heal. That voice may not know what it's talking about, because we all have a voice of fear inside of us that will hold us back, that will tether us to the past, and that will keep telling us, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe there's something wrong with you. You don't want to get your heart broken again. You're not ready. The one thing we don't have is time to waste. I have spent 20 of the most beautiful years imaginable on this planet with a man who truly, if there is such a thing as an eternity, then this is the person I would want to be with. There's nobody after 20 years who I would rather be with than my husband, Benjamin. He's everything I could have hoped for in this lifetime. And the most amazing thing is we have so many clients who found this. In fact, I have I'm sitting here staring at one of my clients, Carla. I screenshot one of her pictures. She went away, I think to Cabo with her husband. And I was at their wedding probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. I went to their wedding in Los Angeles. And they are adorable. But I have hundreds of clients who are in loving, lasting, beautiful relationships like my husband and me. And you can have this too. Just because you don't know what you don't know about getting this solved doesn't mean it can't be solved. You hire experts, right? Like if you need a problem solved, you hire an expert to help you do that. You don't try to do it yourself. If your electrical wiring, there was something wrong and something kept shorting out, I doubt that you're going to go in there and start meddling with the wires and thinking you can fix it. You're going to pick up the phone without hesitation and call an electrician. If you're not feeling well, you may take some over-the-counter medicine. But if that's a chronic issue, something isn't right, you're going to go see a doctor. You're not going to sit there and suffer. You're going to go get medical help because you need a doctor to help you figure out what's wrong. Why wouldn't you hire a coach, an expert, a person who has been helping women for the last 20 years find the guardians of their souls. Why wouldn't you go to Lisa Shield right now, lisashield.com. Sorry, you need the .com on there. But why wouldn't you go to lisashield.com and book a call and just see how we can help you? If you just got your heart broken, please book a call with us. Watch my presentation. Let us show you how we can help you get this solved. I'm Lisa Shield, and this has been Lunch with Lisa. I do 2 podcasts every week. Please rate and like them. You can find them wherever your podcasts are sold, wherever you get your podcasts. I do this one, Lunch with Lisa, and then every Sunday I do Getting Inside the Right Male Mind with my husband, Benjamin. And then you can also rate and like my YouTube channel. If you have any suggestions for podcast episodes, whether it's Lunch with Lisa or Getting Inside the Right Male Mind, please send me an email. You can send that to podcast@lisashield.com. I'm Lisa Shield, and please come back and join me again.